inside Murphy. Shooting, save a rebound on the view.
Hey everyone, this is Casey. You are watching the RedRubberDuckGuin All Sports Network, and once again, it is time to go over the Mid-American Conference. And already there has been chaos when it comes to transfers, new members, departing members, well, at least in football, and ineligibility. Before we even reach summer. Crazy, right? But the MAC has always been one of everyone's favorite mid-major conferences, and so it's fantastic to cover this a second time. Now with a lucky, or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, 13 teams, the MACtion will be as lively as ever. Let's see how this season will play out. Yes, my alma mater. Of course, they would win more than 3 games when I'm no longer a student there. It took them 3 years, but Joe Moorhead gave the Zips the most wins they've had in 1 year since 2018. And he should be able to match it or win more than 4 this year, and send more team seasons down the tubes to go along with it. The offense will have its field general back in Ben Finley for his final season. Running back Jordan Simmons has entered the portal, so Akron will be relying on Tennessee State transfer Jordan Grant to fill the void. They will be getting wide receivers back in Alex Adams and Paul Davis, and they will have to step up as the number 1 targets for Finley. In terms of the defense, there are plenty of new faces, including freshman Bruno Dell, bringing pressure to opposing quarterbacks from the edge. The linebacker corps brings in plenty of experience, including senior Shimon Cooper. In the secondary that is still under construction, they will be led by returning starter Justin Anderson at safety. The roster is starting to get better and better, and if all works out correctly, you might see a bowl game in the future. What do you mean you're not eligible due to bad grades? Do you not have any shred of accountability? I know we dog on Deion Sanders for being a hothead, but even he acknowledges how important grades are and how to show it up for class builds character. Why are you not showing your players, Joe? It's the reason why you lost practice time last season, and it's now the reason why you became ineligible in early May. Do you want to turn into Idaho? Your other teams can't save you forever. Men's soccer, men's basketball, they can only do so much. Now Kent State's laughing at your asses. If you don't like it, do something! What was the one thing I asked of you last year, Ball State? Don't #chirp your way to 3-9. What did you do? #chirped your way to 3-9. For the Cardinals, it was the last straw. Mike New is gone. Fired with 2 games left in the season. So while you could say 2 of those losses weren't his fault, it doesn't change the fact that the downward spiral continued for Ball State. Now, Mike Nererovich has been brought in to salvage a sinking ship. Kyle Kelly had an unsuccessful venture to defensive back and wide receiver last year, and so he's going to return to the quarterback position. Good news for him is that he will have plenty of targets to throw to, including Eric Weatherly coming in from Bucknell. In running back, you decided to bring in Big Ten speed with Purdue transfer Elijah Jackson. As for the defense, a lot had to be fixed. 40.1 points per game, 61 touchdowns given up. They needed to call the National Guard to help and then some. The transfer portal opened up and gave them Bryant's Nathan Voris. And it also helps that linebacker Joey Steimer returns after recording 56 tackles last year. And in the secondary, you're getting back not 1, but 2 corners with Eric McLean and Wilzon Yates. Part of me hopes you guys can get it together since New left the team in a very deep pit. To think that this team won a MAC title and a bowl game and was ranked 5 years ago. After 3 bowl game trips, Scott LaFleur is gone, and he's the new quarterbacks coach for the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions Philadelphia Eagles. It is now time to find a coach, and they brought in Ohio college football legend and former Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George. He did lead Tennessee State to the FCS playoffs last year, so this will be a test to see if this will translate into the FBS level. They brought in their quarterback with Drew Pine from Missouri, and he has stints with Notre Dame and Arizona State, 2 teams that made the college football playoff last year. And at running back, Chris McMillan has transferred up to FBS and will likely be the running back 1 this year. And at wide receiver, you get a major target back in RJ Garcia II, who missed all of last season, and Trey Johnson will be getting a starting role after only starting 1 game last season. While there may be only 1 returning starter for the defense, there is still a whole lot of experience within this program. The defensive line received a boost, which included Eddie's son, Eric George. The linebacker core has gone through retooling as well, with Dayton transfer Gildan Lampron. But the secondary is the nuclear heart for the defense, with that 1 returning starter in safety Darius Lorfils and corner Kal-El Pascal. It might take a long time before Bowling Green makes a bowl game, but never say never when it comes to MACtion. Damn, those people in Buffalo really do rebuild quickly. Pete Lambeau has completed a huge turnaround, taking a 3-9 squad from 2023 to 9 wins,
Liberty, 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 liberty,
including making us laugh at Liberty again in the Bahamas Bowl. The bad news was they were 1 win short of a trip to Detroit. The good news is that the Bulls show no signs of slowing down this year. Now let's go to the offense, because even though Buffalo is one of the favorites in the MAC this year, there are still a lot of questions at quarterback that have to be answered. Right now, the favorite to win the position is Taquan Roberson, a transfer from Kansas State. But we'll have to see who will win that spot come September. However, you get a few key players back, including 1,000-yard rusher Aljay Henderson, wideout Victor Snow, who had 55 receptions last year for 651 yards, and protection from O-lineman Trevor Brock. Those players should be just enough to help out who wins that starting QB role. The defense should be able to reach the top, and they are going to have 9 returning starters. One player that will strike fear in any O-line is Red Murdoch, with 156 tackles and 7 forced fumbles last year. And he will be behind a veteran defensive line led by 6-year veteran George Rollo and another senior in Kobe Stewart. This team should be a surefire pick for the MAC championship. So, let's see how they function. 3 straight losing seasons for the Chips. Now, this is a new staff since Jim McElrain retired, and he has been replaced by Matt Drinkle, coming in from Army after serving as co-offensive coordinator. But he's not the only one, as the offensive and defensive coordinators are brand new as well. There's a lot of pressure on this new squad since CMU only won 13 games over the last 3 years. Now let's talk about the offense. Drinkle made a promise that he will not ignore the passing game, and Jim Chapin is going to make sure of that. Quarterback Joe LaBosse had his season cut short after suffering an arm injury that had to have surgery. Now, during his time in Army, Drinkle's running backs have led the nation in rushing, and Tulane transfer Trey Cornish looks to replace all of CMU's top rushers. All of the top 4 receivers are gone, so look for Tyson Davis, coming off of an injury that kept him out all of last season, to step up. The new defensive coordinator is Sean Cronin, and he will have most of the starters from last year back. Linebacker Jordan Kowakowski is going to headline this defense. And in the secondary, there will be a rock-solid lineup with safeties Elijah Ricard, who recorded 56 tackles, and Caleb Spann, who had 61. You also have cornerback Jayon Jackson, who started every game last year as a freshman. I would have more than 6 wins for Central Michigan, but you scheduled San Jose State, Pittsburgh, and Michigan all on the road to start. Not making it easy for yourselves, are you? Eagles, I gotta ask one question. How, in every deity on this green earth, did you let Akron ruin your season? You guys were 5-2 going into that game against the Zips. You would lose that game and then the rest of your games afterwards and miss out on a bowl. Even then, it wasn't even enough for Chris Creighton to lose his job. However, the sign is there. Consistency has to be the theme for this season. At quarterback, Noah Kim comes in after stints with Michigan State and Coastal Carolina. And after suffering a season-ending injury in their second game of the year against Washington, running back Dante McMillan has recovered and is ready to work. And he will be joined by Michigan transfer Tavier Dunlap in the backfield. And Kim is going to have very reliable weapons in wide receiver Terry Lockett Jr. and tight end transfer from Kentucky, Tanner LeMaster. For the defense, there aren't really any flashy names, but experience is coming back. Donovan Green will return to lead the defensive line. The linebacker core will be led by Zach MACtion as part of a very talented group. Finally, the secondary will see plenty of experience with cornerback Joshua Scott and safeties Javian Norman and Dramarian Nolte. In other news, one of EMU's favorite sons in Max Crosby returns as the team's general manager. If that doesn't prevent you from losing 5 straight, I don't know what will. 1-23. Need I say more? Well, unfortunately, I have no choice but to continue with this one. Kenny Burns is gone. It should have happened 1 year earlier, and because he sucked his first year and not due to violations we won't go over. But better late than never, I guess? Now the new victim, head coach, is Mark Carney. The old offensive coordinator has to take over a program with salted ground. And he's going to get help from new offensive coordinator Clay Patterson, who has had experience as offensive coordinator at Colorado. Or I should say pre-primetime Colorado. Oh boy. In the quarterback position, you have Fordham transfer C.J. Montz, who finished as the finalist for the Walter Payton Award in 2023. Jordan Newman comes in from Minnesota to try to revive the rushing attack, and in terms of receivers, wide receiver Deshaun Martin returns, and tight end Hunter Hopperton comes in from Rhode Island. The O-line really needs help, and Dustin Morrill will add veteran leadership to the most experienced group. The defense, however, will add more experience and depth. The linebacker core has to recover from the loss of Rocco Nickel to South Florida, but Mason Woods should be able to help the group out. The secondary will be full of depth as Trevin Tucker returns to lead a whole line of transfers to improve one of the worst defenses in the country. This team needs a whole lot of retooling, rebuilding, and more reinforcements. Keep your heads high though. Unlike a school down the road, you're still bowl eligible. They were oh so close to repeating as MAC champions. If only they could have gotten 5 more touchdowns. But this year, you are still in the mix to get back onto the throne. At this point, Chuck Martin has this team dialed in year after year, and the Red Hawks show no signs of stopping. The offense is going to bring in a familiar face at quarterback, and it is one that Miami defeated 2 years ago to win the MAC championship. And after injuries cut his last season in Baylor short, 24-year-old DeQuan Finn is coming into Oxford to bring in stability at the quarterback position. Running back Kenny Tracy is coming back after tearing his ACL last season, and the receiving corps went through a huge overhaul through the transfer portal with Darian Williamson from Florida State and Deion Colzie from Notre Dame. The defense has plenty of talent despite going through graduation in the transfer portal. Defensive tackle Roosevelt Andrews III is brimming with potential. The linebacker corps will have an experienced leader in Corbin Hondrew coming back. Now, the secondary was riddled with injuries last year, but they will be coming back better than ever with safety Eli Blakely leading the charge. Look out, the Red Hawks are coming back, and they are pretty pissed about not repeating. Last year, Northern Illinois pulled off a huge upset over Notre Dame and was able to bring in another bowl trophy to DeKalb. With the Huskies football team soon to move to the Mountain West for some odd reason, the Huskies will be looking to take one more MAC trophy. Thomas Hammock has a strong foundation and did some retooling in some areas. Some of those areas were at quarterback. They lost Ethan Hampton to Illinois, so local product Josh Holst will be getting the starting job. Now, graduation hit the running back core hard, but Telly Johnson Jr. will be leading a solid three-man rotation. Finally, on offense, the receiving core also got a few transfers, including Gary Givens. The defense was a huge reason why the Huskies were able to collect 8 wins last year. However, they will have a new leader in the press box in Rob Harley. While they were able to lead the Huskies to the season they had last year, they need to produce more turnovers since they were 98th in FBS in forced turnovers. Now they got 2 useful veterans back at the defensive end position, with Jelani Williams and Roy Williams. Mark Preto will be expected to step up at linebacker, and in the secondary, they have depth and experience coming back, with Jasper Beller and Muhammad Jameh. We'll see what happens, but at least you gave us Notre Dame Lowells last year. Go create another. Jeez, Athens, give everybody a turn at the magic pixie dust. Consecutive 11-win seasons, the defending MAC champions. Now the question is, will it continue? Tim Albin is now the head coach of Charlotte, and so Brian Smith, the associate head coach and offensive coordinator, has moved up to the top to take over the reins. The offense will have a few of its starters coming back, so that will make it easier for new offensive coordinator Scott Sporting. The key returnee for him is quarterback Parker Navarro, who started 13 games last year. He did suffer an injury during the spring, but he should be back in time for the fall. Meanwhile, running back Say Bangura returns to Athens after a brief stint in Minnesota. 2 starting wide receivers are back with Chase Hendricks and Rodney Harris, and they played significant reps last year. The defense took some blows with the loss of Shea Taylor and Bradley Weaver, but on the edge, Arkansas Pine Bluff transfer Honest Lookman should provide some stability. Defensive back Ricky Hyatt Jr. comes in from South Alabama to stabilize the position. When looking at the secondary, be on the lookout for corner Tank Pearson. Now, it's going to be difficult for the Bobcats to repeat, but they do have the team to do it. The Rockets are looking to go back to the MAC championship after missing out last year. Losing to Ohio, and God forbid, Akron, to end conference play last year prevented at least one trip to Detroit last year, because you did make up for it by going to the Game Above Sports Bowl in Ford Field and making us laugh at Pitt. Now, Jason Candle has to bring his guys together for some redemption, as he will have plenty of veterans returning. The ultimate leading passing combination will return as quarterback Tucker Gleason and wide receiver Junior Van Ross III return for their senior years. Gleason threw for nearly 3,000 yards last year, and Van Ross was the Game Above Sports Bowl MVP after catching 12 passes for 184 yards. Running back Chip Traynham transferred from Kentucky after an injury-shortened season, and he will be one to watch out for. And finally, Gleason is going to have plenty of protection with returning All-MAC performer Ethan Spoth on the offensive line. The secondary will be headlined by corner Avery Smith, and there will be a bunch of supporting actors for him as well, like Braden Alls, who saw extensive action last year, and he's going to this year. If that linebacker core can gel quickly, you're looking at one of the scariest defenses in the MAC. We'll have to wait and see if this team really is the favorite, or they're just fool's gold. Congratulations, UMass. You are finally back in the Mid-American, while being on the East Coast. That's right, everyone. Conference realignments never made sense to anyone before, and it definitely doesn't here. Their first endeavor into MACtion was not very successful, and that's putting it lightly, with a record of 7-25 from 2012 to 2015. But it's a new era, and Joe Harasimiak comes in from Maine to try to lead the Minutemen out of a deep pit. In order to win more than 2 games, the offense has to show up for new offensive coordinator Mike Bajakian. For his quarterback, they brought in Grant Jordan from Yale, and he brought all Ivy League recognition with him following a near 2,000-yard season. He will have another newcomer behind him in the backfield with running back Rocco Griffin coming from UTSA. 1 season ago, only 3 Minutemen receivers had a touchdown catch, and 2 of them will return this year with T.Y. Harding and Jaquan Gibson. The defense should be able to thrive under Harasimiak, as he created the black hole defense in Maine. He even brought in his old defensive coordinator from Rutgers and Jared Keat to oversee this unit. Plenty of transfers look to lead the comeback, including defensive end Joshua Nobles, who has experience in the MAC with Western Michigan. The other end spot belongs to defensive end David Onoa, who follows Coach Harasimiak from Rutgers to Amherst. Also, the line will have a returning starter in the form of Tim Grant Randall at nose tackle. In the secondary, they get another transfer, with corner Malcolm Green coming in from stints in the ACC with Clemson and Virginia Tech. Hopefully, the second tour of duty in the MAC will turn out better than the first. I know one person who doesn't. Take your time. You'll figure it out. The Broncos had a promising start to conference play last year. They would start 4-0 and look like a surprise team to go to Detroit. And then they would proceed to lose 3 straight and settle for 6 wins and barely making it to a bowl game. Lance Taylor is going into his 3rd year and must find a way to keep the Broncos consistent. The offense was a scoring machine last year, scoring 34 or more points in 5 of their wins. But now they have to find a new starting quarterback, whether it's Brock Lowry, who played in only 3 games this year, or junior college All-American transfer Brady Jones. Michigan transfer Cole Cabana comes in to try to stay healthy and aid the rushing attack. Whoever wins the starting quarterback job will win a couple of transfers at wide receiver targets, with Georgia Tech transfer Christian Leary and Georgia State transfer Talik Williams. At tight end, you get a reliable option back in Blake Bosma, who had 37 receptions and 6 touchdowns last year. The theme for most defenses in this preview has been how decimated they've been by the transfer portal. But it seems like this defense left unscathed. There were plenty of Broncos that played prominent roles on the defensive line last season, with Popeye Williams being one of them. Rather than being decimated by the portal, Western Michigan benefited from it by adding Murray State transfer James Camden to the linebacker core, and the secondary also got plenty of rest, with the return of all-MAC safety Tate Hullock. Now the Broncos can become a dark horse, no pun intended, in the MAC if things come together at the right time. Okay, now that we got those out of the way and no interruptions from Red this time around or anyone, we might as well get into predictions. And for this one, it might be a little bit easier considering that there's 4 teams to pick from. but I'm going to go with the two favorites in Toledo and Buffalo. And in the ultimate redemption arc, Toledo will reclaim what is theirs and win the MAC championship, bringing another piece of hardware from Detroit for the second year in a row. And as you know, of course, this video is once again a part of a 9-video series between 3 YouTubers, me, Red5478, and Illogical Canadian. Now, the 3 of us already released our first videos with Red doing Conference USA, me doing the Sun Belt, and Illogical doing the American. I kicked off this weekend, of course, with the Mid-American. Tomorrow, Illogical will be releasing his video on the Mountain West and the Pac-12, and Red will be uploading his Big 12 preview on Sunday. And then, of course, the next weekend, Illogical will kick us off with his final video with the SEC, and then I'll be doing the ACC plus Notre Dame, and then Red will finish us off with the Big 10. But that is going to do it for me. I'm going to leave a link to both Illogical and Red's channels in the description down below. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to the 2 of them. And be sure to hit the bell icon for both videos so you can be notified on all future uploads from them. And of course, be sure to leave a like on this video, leave a nice comment, share this video with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the RedRubberDuckGuin All Sports Network. And be sure to hit the bell icon for any more content such as this. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next weekend. Until we meet again, I will see you all next one. Take care, guys.